Thanks for being with us. Thanks for being a little bit patient. This is something new that we're doing here in the city of Romulus, but I think when it's all said and done, we're going to be blessed and we're going to feel good about what's happening here in our city. What I'd like to do is first invite up Reverend Terry Edwards from First Baptist. He's going to come up and lead us in invocation.
Amen.
May we bow our heads. Most Heavenly Father, as we come before you this morning, as humble as we are, we come asking your blessing over the activities that's about to begin this morning. We thank you for all those that came this morning, Heavenly Father, that you seen us safely here, and ask that you be with us as we travel to leave here and go home. We ask your blessing up on this activity this morning, Heavenly Father, and lead us and guide us in the wisdom to make everything possible and as pleasing as you would have it to be. These and all blessings we ask in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much, Reverend. We have a lot of special guests here, and I do want to acknowledge some of our elected officials as well. And if I miss any, please don't hesitate to holler out. We have our County Executive, Bob Ficano. Thanks for being here. We have Judge Tina Brooks Green from 34th District Court. Thank you. Ellen Hinman, our Court Administrator. Thank you, Ellen, for being here. Ellen Craig Bragg. Thank you, Ellen. We have Stacy Page, our Treasurer. Thank you, Stacy. We have our Council Chairperson, Mayor Pro Tem John Barton. We have Councilman William Wadsworth. Thank you, Mr. Wadsworth. Anything else from Council? That's it for Council. Okay. We have some school representatives here. We have Sandy Crow from the school board. Sandy, thank you for being here. And Tamika Bowles. Tamika, thanks for being here. Lisa Beard as well. Thank you. Danielle Fundenberg. Thank you. Marty McAnally, the superintendent of schools. What we'd like to do, and this program came about, every February we recognize Black History Month, but this is special because we're trying to put a hometown feel to it. And what we've asked to do is I have John Barton and Ellen Bragg are going to come up, and in your program there's a list of names, and they're going to read off those names. They're going to ask to give some special recognition to those that are here or family members that may be here to recognize that. So with that, would you please come up, John Barton and Ellen Bragg? Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Before we begin calling off the names, I'd like to read just a little history about Black History Month. The roots of Black History Month can be traced to the early part of the 20th century. In 1925, Carter G. Woodson, an educator and historian, began campaigning among schools, journals, and Black newspapers calling for a Negro History Week. He was able to institute this Negro History Week in 1926 during the second week of February. This time was chosen because Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass's birthdays occurred then. Woodson was awarded the Spring Arm Medal from the NAACP for his accomplishment. In 1976, Negro History Week turned into Black History Month. And so again, the month of February is celebrated to honor African Americans that have had an importance of Black achievement and made a contribution in the United States. And again, this year we're celebrating Black History Month by honoring the prominent African Americans of Romulus who have had and continues to have an impact in the areas of politics, education, sports, public safety, businesses, military, and community involvement. As we read off the names of our honorees, if you are here, we would like you to stand, or if there's a family member to represent the names of our honorees as we call their names, we'd like you to stand. Our honorees are as follows, beginning with Mayor Pro Tem John Barton.
Joel Hurst.
Emmett Barnes.
Willie Hester.
Ed Beanham.
John Holyfield.
Bronson Bell.
Carl Hunt.
Tamika Bowles.
Helga Horace Jackson.
Cheryl Buckley.
Pamela Kersey.
Lorena Burton.
Grant Long.
Reverend Alvin Burton.
John Long.
Nathaniel Butler.
Jason Levette.
Reverend L.B. Campbell Sr.
Irene Martin.
Mary Carter.
Gary Mills.
Lloyd Coleman.
Barbara Morrison.
Ling Coleman.
The late Jimmy Raspberry.
Thomas Coleman.
Paulette Greaves. Honorable Clerk Ellen Bragg.
Captain Darren Shelby.
Forrest Stevens.
Eugene Edmonds.
Lloyd Ward.
Booker Edwards.
Eva Webb.
Eugenio Gresmo Fernandez.
Glad Miss Braggs pronounced that one. Dorothy West.
Leonard Fulmer.
Rudy Williams.
Danielle Thunderberg.
Giselle Woodman.
Randolph Randy Gear.
Mike Woods.
Patricia Hardaway.
Sam Woods.
Hazel Harris Harrison.
Parnell Hurst.
And again, remember, Black history is not just celebrated in the month of February. It's not one day, 1 week, but Black history is celebrated year-long. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John Bart and Ellen Bragg, for the reading of the names and recognition. Today we're blessed to have a keynote speaker, and I'd like to talk a little bit about this gentleman. Over 13 years as a police officer, 8 of those with the Romulus Police Department. He is the 5th year as a Romulus School Resource Officer, which, by the way, we do have Phyllis Atkins here. Thank you, Phyllis, for being here from the school's officer. Like many of our honorees, he's helped and continued to help shape and mentor children in our community, which we thought was a huge message to talk about and celebrate here this morning. He's a decorated officer, having earned many awards, accolades throughout his distinguished career. He's also outstanding and very active resident of our community. So not just does he work for the city, he lives in the city. He's a very active resident. He has a family here. He has a wife, Jennifer. He's raising 2 young sons, Donovan and Jordan, here in Romulus, and he's mentoring his children on a daily basis. In fact, one story I want to share with you. We had an issue with actually an elderly person that had a sexual assault in one of our neighborhoods, and when this person, Officer LeBrett Jackson, not just was compassionate with the situation, but used it as a teaching moment. I understand he and his 2 sons took it upon themselves several days after to, do what neighbors do, look in on this resident, and actually stopped in and brought a bouquet of flowers to this lady. And that's just the type of individual that he is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to introduce Corporal LeBrett Jackson.
Can everyone hear me okay? Good morning. I'm honored to be here. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize many of our elected officials that we have here collectively, as they all have been recognized individually earlier. But also I'd like to recognize a woman who's been synonymous with Black history as long as I've been here, and I'm pretty sure a lot longer than that, and that's Reverend Talley. Time to partake in some of the things she even asked me to help sing once, which I'm not doing. You asked me to move some chairs, I'll move them. You asked me to help serve some food, I'll serve it, but I'm not singing. You want to think she stay. With that being said, it's just, it was really an honor when Chief of Staff Dickerson contacted me to be the keynote speaker. I was honored, but at the same time I was horrified, because I, like a lot of people, do not like public speaking. And usually when I do engage in public speaking, it's with elementary kids, and it's easy to entertain elementary kids. You talk about some Power Rangers, some Ninja Turtles, and they're good to go. And then I'm buried in them so they can't leave. So, but this was, for me, was a unique opportunity. And with that being said, for Black history, for me, the term has always been a misnomer, because it's not like the history of this country was lived in vacuums independently amongst its people. Black history is the history of America. Our accolades and our accomplishments were not just celebrated by African Americans. Whether it be Garrett Morgan in the traffic light, or Dr. King in the struggle, or even here in the city of Romulus with Chief Dickerson being the first African-American chief of police that we've had. Our histories have always been. But for me, one thing that I've learned over the years is that we can argue facts, we can argue figures, we can most definitely argue opinions, but you can't argue a person's story. That is unique to them. And my story is what I would like to share. For me, one of the earliest lessons I've had in African American history came from who in my life is on my Mount Rushmore. That's my maternal grandfather. His name was Romulus. He passed away in 2010. But when I tell you he was a man, he was a man. He was married to the same woman 52 years, father to all of his children, grandfather to all of his grandchildren, and fortunately for me, was able to meet his great-grandchildren. One of the earliest lessons that he taught me was that you don't think you're better than anybody, but know you're good as anyone. And it was pronounced. It was very profound for me in growing up. And one of the other things that he chose not to teach was that being African American meant that I had to work harder or be smarter or be faster than anyone else. He taught me just do the best that you can do, because effort is judged individually. Effort is a measure of you versus you, not you against anyone else. And for that to be true to me means that if you teach someone that they need to work harder or to compensate for something else, it kind of means it's a shortcoming. And I don't know about anyone else in here, but being African American has not been a shortcoming for me. It's not something I felt I had to compensate for. So, like the same thing that I teach my own children is that you do the best that you can do. You're the only person that can judge how hard you worked. You're the only person that can judge the effort that you put forth. But being able to be around my granddad on a pretty much consistent basis, as a matter of fact, I even had the opportunity to live with him when I was in high school. He was born in a small rural town in West Tennessee, Haywood County. And like a lot of people migrated to the north in the 50s to make a better life for himself. But as soon as he retired, the first thing he did was hop in a U-Haul, took my grandmother back down south with him. And I was about 2 months right behind him in the Greyhound bus. But one thing that he would always do, we would go for drives because we lived in the middle of nowhere. It was a farm. We had to drive everywhere. You weren't walking. Not in the Tennessee sun, you weren't. We drove everywhere. And one thing he would always do was he would point out all of the places where people lived that were now farmland. He would talk about, you know, this person who lived here and how many houses there. And I would ask him, well, Granddad, what happened? Well, as those people got older and they left the land to their children, the children didn't know the value in it, so they sold it. And one thing, just like history, just like land, it is what it is. You can't make it over. It is what you can build on it, you can cherish it, but you can't make it over. And just like land, anything that you cherish, just like our history, we should be passing it down.
Yes.
We should make sure that our young people, they understand the importance of it. They understand the importance of having a history. So I just really, as I got older and I could really understand and really receive the message that he was giving me, on a daily basis, one of the things that we do in my house, well, I would say on a weekly basis, is that my oldest son, who's 8 years old, every week I give him a name, and he has all the tools because he's got tablets and all this other stuff now. So instead of just playing Floppy Bird or Candy Crush, the candy's not going to crush itself. He has to use that to educate himself, edify himself, take it upon himself to learn history. So this week was Frederick Douglass, next week it'll be whomever. And with that instilled in him at an early age, he'll understand the importance of his history. Because that's what it is, it's a story, his story. His history is his story, as all of our histories are all of our stories. Everybody's story in here is unique to them. That term, Black history, may mean one thing for me, but it probably means something for everybody else in here, which is fine, that's a good thing. While we can debate the term on its level to each person, we should not have to debate the importance of it. We should all understand how important it is that we understand our history. Because our history, just like our futures, are all intertwined. The successes that we have individually in this community benefit our neighbor, benefit our brother, benefit our sister. We're all together. This young man, who just by chance happened to be here, he's the youngest person in this room other than me. This young man in here, everybody in here, while we may not know what his destiny will be, everybody in here, everybody in his family, everybody here that cares about him can ensure that he is destined for greatness. That's right. That's all you get.
That's awesome. Awesome message. You know, I tell you what, are we not blessed to have him in our city? And you know, I don't know how you top that, Corporal, but we're going to try. We have a great morning planned here this morning. Next, what I would like to do is, if we could, Public Safety Director John Leacher come up with myself. We have a presentation and a special closing if we could. So. I want to single out one of the honorees that was mentioned earlier. We were kind of waiting a little bit, and I'm glad this all came together. But I'd like to talk a little bit about Mr. Nathaniel, or Nate Butler. He was a Romulus resident, has been a Romulus resident for over 70 years. In 1951, he became the first ever African-American police officer hired into the Wayne County Sheriff Department. And that paved the way for thousands of other African-American men and women to follow in his footsteps and to serve Wayne County in the Sheriff Department. After retiring from the Sheriff Department in 1976, he became the first African-American to serve on our city's Police, Fire, and Safety Commission, going on to serve for 30 years. He was a recipient of the Distinguished Community Service Award at last year's Hometown Heroes ceremony, and continues to provide wisdom, knowledge, and service to all. I have a proclamation I would like to read, and then also Director Leacher has an award to acknowledge as well. And I'll read this. It goes as this: Proclamation in recognition of Nathaniel Butler. I, Leroy D. Burkcroft, Mayor and and for the City of Romulus, do hereby proclaim Friday, February 28th, 2014, as Nathaniel Butler Day in the City of Romulus. Extends our appreciation and selfless contribution to service as a resident of the City of Romulus, and has my signature. And with that, I'd like Director Leacher to come up. I'll give this to Mr. Butler, and then we'll continue the program.
Amen. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. The award that I have here for Mr. Butler is about an act that a heroic act that he committed as the first Wayne County Sheriff's Deputy, African American Wayne County Sheriff's Deputy back in 1953. And I'm not going to steal all of Chief Staff Dickerson's thunder, because he's going to tell the whole story. But I just want to say a couple words about his actions and what that means to me as a law enforcement officer. I'm going to start by saying that Corporal Jackson was up here speaking with you all. He had mentioned that he was nervous. And I told him, the more you do this, the more relaxed you'll get. And I actually can't think of another time I've been more nervous than I am now, because for me, this moment means so much, because I've been here 26 years, and I can't say that I've been prouder to be part of this community than I am right now, because today reflects the very best of all of us. And I've had 26 years of people, friends of mine from outside Romulus, that are just in awe of how well we all get along, and how easy it is for us not to see color and race, and it's just, I think we're truly a light for others to follow as a community, and this event here, I think, kind of culminates all of that and brings that all to fruition, and not a better way than the actions of Mr. Butler back in 1953. Because if you want to talk about something that brings people together, then this award that Mr. Butler's going to get, and Chief of Staff Dickerson is going to tell you about, pretty much summarizes the whole thing for me. So on behalf of the Romulus Police Department, Mr. Butler, we would like to present you with the very first Nathaniel Butler Life Safety Award. If you'll allow me to read this, take a moment to read this. The Certificate of Meritorious Service, Nathaniel Butler Life Safety Award for the saving of a human life, is awarded to Mr. Nathaniel Butler, who, through unparalleled courage, bravery, and at great risk to his own life, swam through the frozen waters of Belleville Lake, breaking ice along the way, to save the life of then 13-year-old Robert Birch. Yes. Mr. Butler. I'd also like to present to Mr. Butler kind of in memory to kind of memorialize what will now be forever hung in the halls of the Romulus Police Department, the order of the awards that we give out in the ribbons. I have a ribbon for the Life Safety Award I'm going to present to Mr. Butler as well. That's this ribbon right here. But you'll see, and this will be for him and his family, and again, this will be hanging in our department forevermore. This will forever be known as the Nathaniel Butler Life Safety Award, and it's next to the ribbon right here.
Told you it's going to get better and better. What a great morning. Thank you, Director Leacher. Thank you, Mr. Butler, for being here. With our closing remarks, I'd like to invite up our Chief of Staff, Robert Dickerson, and Dana DeBell from Delta Airlines. Please come up.
Director Leacher talked about, first off, I'm sorry, let me introduce Dana from Delta Airlines. She helped sponsor this event, and I'll share a story that what we asked them for, and they stepped up big time for us. So, Director Leacher talked about that life-saving incident that I kind of shared with him because through my research and talking to the Butler family, you know, reaching out to them, and they sent me some information on that incident that happened. So, 1953 Detroit News, front page. Picture of Mr. Butler and 13-year-old Robert Birch. I'm going to read the article to you because it just shows, you know, the compassion, the heroism that went on that day. While Robert Birch, a 13-year-old Belleville schoolboy, still admires his favorite movie, television characters, he has his own particular hero today. Robert's new friend is Nathaniel Butler, a Wayne County Road Patrol deputy who had plunged into the Belleville Lake Thursday afternoon to save the boy from death. Butler, a Romulus resident, and his partner Julius McCarty were 3 miles from Belleville Lake in Van Buren Township when the radio call came out. They arrived on the scene, and a few minutes later, Butler in his full uniform caught up to a wooden plank and began hacking away at the ice and swimming toward the drowning boy as frantic neighbors and relatives watched from shore. As he was nearing the threshing boy, Butler yelled, "Can you swim?" Robert nodded in a no fashion, and the officer yelled out to the young boy, hang on, I'm coming." 30 minutes had gone by since this incident had happened, where the boy was in the water and so forth. And you know what? I don't need the story, because guess what? I talked to Mr. Birch. I reached out and talked to Mr. Birch about this incident. I located him in Florida. We talked on the phone. I talked to the Butler family. He kind of shared this story with me. You know, he sent me his own narrative of it. And you know, I'm going to read his words and not the newspaper article words, because it's more personal, and you know, he would have liked to have read this, but he said he doesn't do well in front of groups, and I'm struggling with this. And those that know me know I generally don't struggle with this, but the heroism gets me, because coming in this from this profession. And when you see this, this is what you thrive for. This is what police, fire, DPW, we're here to help. And reading into the message Mr. Birch sent me was, on January 15, 1953, after school at Rossville Elementary, I decided to stop at a friend's home, then walk home. It was a little more than 4 miles, so I decided to take the shortcut across the lake. While walking about 100 yards from the shore, Mrs. Brinkman and her daughter, Mary Carroll, were up on the hill behind the house and were talking to me. Mrs. Brinkman went back into the house and I continued to walk. I don't know why I looked down at the ice, but it had a lot of small holes in it, and all of a sudden I just fell through. Mary Carroll ran into the house to tell her mother. I tried to get back up on the ice, but it just kept giving away as I tried. I was wearing a heavy pea coat at the time, and I tried to make it off, but I couldn't. Hoping to take it off would help and make it easier to get back up on the ice. Some time went by, and my older brother Carl and a neighbor came down the hill as they tried to walk out onto the ice and rescue me. But as they soon stepped onto it, it gave way, and so they had to step back to the shore. I kept trying my hardest to get back up on the ice, but was unable to. I got tired, and I decided to continue to swim up and down from the bottom to the top to try to build my strength up. When I came back up, I kept trying and trying without success. As I recall, the Belleville police showed up, but apparently they were not trained to do this type of rescue. I remember dropping down to the bottom a third time, and each time it seemed harder and harder to get back up. The water was 7 to 8 feet deep, he was told later. Mr. Butler arrived on the scene. He found the board nearby. He jumped into the icy water. He broke his way out, breaking the ice. Instead of trying to walk on it like you'd think he just walked to save and go in, he broke the ice and swam behind the ice and eventually busted it enough to swim out to Mr. Birch. He says, as he broke his way out to drag, and then he broke his way, got to me, and dragged me to shore. The last thing I remember was when he got within 5 feet of me, I passed out. Now, from a 13-year-old's perspective, I knew I was, from a 13-year-old's perspective, I knew I was naked but covered up in someone's house. I awoke the next day in Bayer Hospital. Mr. Butler stopped by the hospital to see me to check on me, and we had our picture taken. Although I had been in icy water for about 30 minutes, I was okay, but Mr. Butler had gotten a really bad cold from our ordeal. From the time I graduated high school, Mr. Butler would stop by periodically and see how I was doing. If I was out driving, we ran across each other, he would always make sure we talked. I've never met a finer gentleman. As a side note, my mother, Elizabeth Birch, my wife, and I, plus our 3 children, were invited to his retirement party back in the 70s, and we attended. A few thoughts about my life after this experience. Saving someone's life like Mr. Butler did isn't the end. It's about him allowing me to finish high school, get a job, marry my wife Sharon of 54 years, have 3 great children, Jeff, Jennifer, and Aaron, and I choose to be happy every day, try to be helpful,
All right.
and always want to save someone's life. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Birch. Let me get my composure. Delta Airlines worked with us on getting Mr. Birch here from Tampa, Florida today to take part in this. Like what Ray Jackson said, that's our story, and I'm done. Thank you.
Can't top that, but that was awesome. We just want to thank everybody for coming out. You know, we got a little late start because we weren't sure if Mr. Butler was going to be able to make it here. He was a little bit under the weather this morning. We're so grateful to the Butler family for working with us on this and getting them here. And we love Mr. Butler. We thank Mr. Birch for making the trip. We thank you, Delta, for your awesome support in making this happen. And thanks everybody for being here.
crossing a lake and it had fallen in. And I was in full gear. And when I went down the banks of the Belleville Lake, it was a piece of 2x4, about 4 feet long. And I picked it up on the side of the bank and I went out so far and then I fell through. So I would break the ice and I broke the ice out. And usually I was a Navy vice guard. And usually you would hit a person to knock him out. So he wouldn't grab you and drown you. So I reached out, and when I reached out and caught Robert, he just went to sleep like on me. So I didn't have the problem of knocking him out. And that way I pulled him in, and Belleville police had come on the scene and they pushed the boat down and got him over in the boat and they pulled him on in. But the final things of this, I went up to a house and I had to change clothes, and the owner of the house gave me some of his pants and shirts and what have you. And Belleville police reached in with a glass of whiskey. And I grabbed that glass of whiskey and put it down, and he said, well, see, I got you. Say, you drinking on duty. I said, yes, I'm drinking on duty, but I'm not in uniform. His grace and His mercy, because if it hadn't been for His grace and mercy, maybe I wouldn't be here today. And my wife was pregnant of my oldest son that's standing over there like he hadn't eaten any food for a while. I've never seen him if God hadn't been in the picture.
God bless you.
Hi, we're here with the family members of Nathaniel Butler. We'd just like to know, what do you think and what are your thoughts of the City of Romulus' first celebration of African American History Month, and also the honoring of your father-in-law, your grandfather, and extended family member. So at this time, would you introduce yourselves, and we'd just like to hear your comments.
I'm Liz McGraw Butler. I'm Mr. Butler's daughter-in-law, and I'm married to Yule Butler. And I thought it was a great program. I thought it was fantastic that Mr. Butler was honored and celebrated in the way that he was today, and I just wish my mother-in-law and my husband could have been here to witness it. Thank you.
I'm Brianna Butler, and that's my grandfather. And to me, it moved me to tears just to see how Romulus had actually made a day for my grandfather, and I loved everything about it. He is my own separate hero. Sorry. And he is the strongest man that I know. He was married to my grandmother for 65 years, and I wish she could have been here to see this. And I love him so much, and I really want to thank you guys for doing this for him and bringing the young man that he saved. And I'm sorry, but thank you. I don't know if
Hi, I'm Deidre McGraw, and I am the sister of Elizabeth Butler, Yule Butler's wife. And I'm just honored to be here, and we're just thankful to God that Mr. Butler was able to do what he did and that he could be recognized by the city of Romulus. It means so much, especially in the twilight of his years. So we thank you all for supporting him and for loving him. Thank you.
I'm here with Byron Butler. He is the son of our honoree, Nathaniel Butler. Byron, could you tell us what you thought of today's program and the honoring of your father and his heroic act?
It was very nice. I got emotional myself. It was just very nice. I mean, I'm at a loss for words. It was nice. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Byron. We appreciate your dad as we appreciate your whole family. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Standing here with me is Mrs. Edwards and Mrs. Austin, and I would just like your thoughts on the city's first annual celebration of African American History Month and what you thought of today's program.
Well, I'm Miss Edwards, and I thought today's program was really a great thing for the community. And to have so many people here and to recognize them, it is really something, and to recognize the families of the families too. And it's just beautiful. And I thank the Romulus community for doing what they did today.
I'm Mrs. Austin, a member of Romulus for 30-some years, maybe 40. And I worked for the airline, and it's just beautiful to come together here in the community. And what a beautiful, just beautiful service we had for him today. And I was so glad to see him doing as well as he was, able to come out and celebrate with all the peoples here and let him know that we haven't forgot him, even though he can't get out to visit like he used to. But thank God he was able to come out today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Edwards and Mrs. Austin. I'm standing here with one of our honorees, and this is Darnell Hurst. Mr. Hurst, tell us what you thought of today's program and then the city's first celebration of African American History Month.
You know what, this turned out pretty good, better than I thought it was going to be. And I hope next year we can get more to respond and get more people off into this. So it was all right with me, and it was pretty good. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hurst, and we appreciate your contribution and your family's contribution to the city of Romulus. Thank you. Standing here with Rendell Wooden, and she's a member of the clerk's office team, but her family was honored for this cut. I'm sorry, cut. I messed that up. Right. Okay. All right. I'm standing here with Rendell Wooden. She's a family member of the Wooden family, which were on. I can't do this. Let me try it again. Yes, I can. Take two. I'll do it right. Three. Take three, right. Who's counting? Okay. I'm here with Rendell Wooden, and her family was honored for African American History Month. Miss Wooden, could you tell us what you thought of today's African American History program?
Sure will. I thought the program was absolutely awesome, and most importantly, I'd like to thank the City of Romulus for honoring my family, the Wooden family. We are so happy to be honored. On behalf of Ezel Wooden and Michael Woods, we say thank you very much. And I'm so proud of Mr. Butler's achievement. It was just so special and so great. The service was very great. Thank you.
I'm standing here with Minister David Holyfield. He is a family member of two of our honorees, John Holyfield and the late Reverend L.B. Campbell Sr. Mr. Holyfield, would you tell us just what you thought of this morning's program and the city's celebration of African History Month?
Absolutely. This was a phenomenal experience to be honored. I can't tell you how much my family feels so very, very gracious to be considered as one of the honorees in this very distinguished program. My grandfather, the late, great Reverend L.B. Campbell Sr., and of course my brother Jonathan Hollifield, who, you know, they have plowed a legacy of activism, achievement, and just stalwart citizenship in this community, really literally since 1937 when my family moved to Romulus.
Thank you, Mr. Hollifield. I'm sorry, Minister Hollifield. And we truly appreciate your family's legacy and all that, as you say, they've trailblazed and are leaving history and making history here in the city of Romulus. Thank you.
And I'd like to also point out your remarks concerning Black history. It's not an event. It is an ongoing saga. It's a story that's continually being written and being told as it unfolds right before our very eyes.
You're absolutely right, and I believe it was mentioned in the program. Yes. History is his story, our story.
Absolutely.
Standing next to me is my husband, Stan Bragg, who is also a member of the Police, Fire, and Safety Commission, who served with Mr. Butler, who was also on the Police and Fire Safety Commission until his retirement just a few years ago. Mr. Bragg, could you please tell us what you thought of today's program?
Well, actually, it was well put together. We have to always recognize our heritage and understand that people that live in this community have stood up and done excellent things. I didn't know that story about Mr. Butler. I heard fragments of it, but I'd never heard it in detail. And to actually see the person's life that was saved 50 years ago was awesome. When it was put together, it was well thought out. The credit goes to the administration for the excellent job that you did. Serving with Mr. Butler was a privilege and an honor on the Police Fire Safety Commission. He was always a mentor. He always imparted a lot of wisdom and knowledge, and he was great on that commission. It's strange his career in law enforcement ended when mine began back in 1976, and I've been in it since '76. So it's just learning from him and listening to him and getting the spirit that he has is just awesome. So I appreciate the people that put this program together. This is walking, talking, living Black history right here, and kudos to everyone that did work on this committee to do this.
Thank you, Mr. Bragg, and we also appreciate your service to the Romulus Police, Fire, and Safety Commission.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm standing here with one of the family members of one of our honorees, Ed Beanham. Here we have Miss Marie Butler. And Miss Butler, just in your own words, could you tell us what you thought of this morning's program?
Well, to be honest with you, I think this is very, very awarding. I think it was fantastic. My father was a resident of Romulus since 1945. He served on the city council. We attended many affairs. He also represented many organizations, and I thought this was a great honor to the community of Romulus, and we really do appreciate this. There are so many outstanding historical citizens in the community. We need to do this every year to show them their appreciation. And I do appreciate the city of Romulus, appreciate the city council. I just appreciate Romulus now because we are making changes that since 1952, when I graduated, great changes have been made, and I do appreciate it. Thank you ever so much. I'm glad I attended. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Butler. We appreciate you as well and all the contributions and all the things that you do for the city of Romulus. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now I'd like to interview our Mayor Pro Tem, John Barton. Mr. Barton, as being one of our honorees and serving on our city council you're in your third term, and now you're our Mayor Pro Tem. What do you think of today's program?
Oh, outstanding, heartfelt. It's just so great to see so many people come out. And Mr. Butler, oh man, it just reached your heart. everyone was just outstanding. I mean, the history of Afro-Americans is just so great. I'm so proud to be involved in this administration and moving people forward, moving the city forward, bringing people out, recognizing people. Our administration, our city council people, they're really involved here. And I think we got a administration and a council that's going to move the city forward. And I'm so glad that I was a part of this program. And we have a wonderful clerk in Mrs. Bragg. She does a great job, and the whole administration does a great job. So I'm just glad to be a part of it. Thank you.
I'm honored to be standing here with one of our city council members, William Wadsworth. As you know, Mr. Wadsworth has served our community for, well, it's numerous, for 31 years. And he's a lifetime resident, and actually he has a lot of history too. And Mr. Wadsworth, I just want to ask you, what did you think of today's program?
I think it was a wonderful event, especially to bring Nate Butler here, because I'm a retired Wayne County Sheriff, and I can go back to 1969 when I worked with Nate Butler in his scout car when we had the contract in his city. And he actually was one of my first teachers as a young cop at the Sheriff's Department. And I know after he retired in 1976, I continued to work until 2004. But I used to always stop by his house and talk to him, and he, great guy and good cop and good citizen of our town.
Thank you, Mr. Wadsworth, and we appreciate your contribution to the city of Romulus and your service.
And thank you, Ellen, and thank the public.
I'm here with our honoree, Mr. Nathaniel Butler, and also for Robert Bob. He's the young man that we all heard about, and we've heard the story over and over of Mr. Butler's heroic acts to save, at that time he was 13-year-old, and to save his life. And I'm going to let them tell the story. And also, well, he's not going to tell the story, but we also have his lovely daughter. And I just want to ask you a few questions, and if you can just tell us what you thought of today's program and just your thoughts.
It was beyond wonderful. They did such a great job with it. Just the people, the words that were said. It was just wonderful. Wonderful. You guys have an awesome citizen living here.
Bob, do you want to just say something? Nope, he does. Bob doesn't want to say anything. What about you, Mr. Butler? Can you have a few remarks? What did you think of today's program?
Well, I thank the Lord for being able to do what was done, and I thank you and others for having this today where I could reach and meet someone that I hadn't seen in some years.
Well, today's program was great. I mean, but I don't like to talk about what happened.
Well, this is our first annual African American History Celebration, and each year we will honor an African American who has made a significant contribution. And Mr. Butler, again, thank you. Bob and Jennifer, thank you so much for being here.
He was 13 years older than me at the time. 61 years later, he's still 13 years old.
Thank you again so much. As we bring our celebration of African History Month to a close, let us remember that Black history is not just celebrated in 1 month, 1 week, or 1 day, but it should be celebrated year-around. At this time, there are a few people that we'd like to acknowledge and thank for this celebration and bringing all of this together. I would like to bring up Chris Dunn. He is our Community Outreach Liaison. Mr. Dunn?
Thank you. On behalf of the mayor would like to acknowledge the hard work, energy, and effort that was put forth by some members of the staff. First, Julie, Jasmine, Jill, Roger, and Mike, and all others that I may not have mentioned. They did a wonderful job. Thank you.